Hello, good evening. So I think we can just start now. And will be the last lecture on the business analysis training. And so we'll just be wrapping up today. So let's move on. So like I advised last week, so I will I was trying to again try and read the BA textbook and all the materials and YouTube, and just to for more knowledge on it as well on the BA, and try and do the certification as well, because that will boost your you know job opportunity as well. So it will be an advantage for you if you do the certification for the business analysis. So I would advise you to try and do the certification. Yeah, okay. And so today we'll be talking about one of the documents, let me say deliverable, that you need to document as a BA. And so is not all the organization that actually document this, because I know some, like let's say 2 or 3 places I've worked, they don't really have this. They don't document business analysis approach, but there are some other organizations that they document this BA. We call it BAA document. So they document this particular deliverable, and like you've seen on the screen, it say is a document that actually it's because when you are assigned as a BA to a project, because the BA team or the BA pool or the BA manager is loaning you, let me just put it that way, or putting you on a project as a resources from the BA pool. So, and when they place you on a project, there should be an agreement, or yeah, let me just put it as an agreement between the project and the BA manager or the BA pool, saying, okay, this BA that will assign to this project, these are the things that this person, deliverables that will be expected from this BA. So the BA and the BA and the project manager, so mainly project managers need to agree on this. So they need to agree on the deliverables, and they need to agree on the timeline as well. So for example, if you've been assigned uh, um, you've been assigned to a project, let's say a GDPR project, and for a GDPR project is a very big project, and so you have different work streams, and probably maybe they've assigned you to a particular system or decommission or retention work stream. Let's just put it that way. So on your BAA, so because you have different work streams, and the project may have so many things that they have to do. They may need to design forms. They may need to maybe work on RPA. They need to work on retention. They need to work on systems, legacy systems, or maybe some. They will have various things that they need to look into as a project. So, and if you've been assigned, because it's not possible for one person to work on such big projects, let's say the GDPR, so it's not really possible, for one BA to work on such projects. So you have like you have your work stream that you need to work. So this BA comes in before you even start documenting anything, before you even start documenting your BRD or facilitating the workshop, or before anything, before you lay your hands on any job, or maybe or deliver any, produce any artifacts. So you need to document this. So this is the first document that you need to document if the organization is actually using BAA. So it's the first document that you need to produce, and basically it's just a simple document. It could be maybe 4 pages, and what you do is that on that the format, you have a template. Definitely the organization will have a template. You need to you say the background information about what the project is all about. What are the deliverables or maybe the work stream that you are working on? For example, probably maybe you are working on decommission or let's say retention of systems or retention of data within the organization. So you need to state your work stream, the scope of work, the scope of the work that you're actually doing. And, if you know the art of scope as well, you need to state it. And you also need to, then there are some deliverables as a BA. So maybe for this work stream that you are working on, you need to produce just the BRD, the business requirement documents, and let's say traceability matrix. So it could be those two deliverables that is expected of you. So if you document, so in the BA, you have to put it in there saying my deliverables are, or the BA deliverables on this project are traceability matrix and business requirements documents. So if the PM and yourself, you agree that these are the two documents that you're going, deliverables are expected of you at the end of that project, then you have another section that will say the timeline. So for your BA deliverable, so they will expect you to put a time saying BRD. For the BRD, maybe you are going to do that for 3 weeks, maybe from March 23rd to April 22nd. And your traceability matrix, they will want you to put an estimate. It's just an estimate, it's not the actual, but an estimate of time that is going to take you to actually do this work as well, to actually complete that. So once you document this, then you have to take it back to, you send it to your manager, your BA manager, saying, okay, these are the deliverables that you will be produced, on this project that you've assigned me. So your BA manager will review it, and if needs any clarification, we ask you. And if he's happy with it, saying, okay, probably maybe within that time frame that you've specified on the document, it's possible for you, to do that work, because you don't just want to put any time in there, because it's more or less like a binding document between the BA and the project manager. So once this documents, the business analysis approach, once it's been, documented, and your BA manager review it, so because it's your BA manager, you send it to anyway, so it has nothing to do with stakeholders at this point. So your BA manager will say, okay, this is, I'm fine with it, which is your manager anyway. So, and once they approve it, then you now have to send it back to the project manager. So the project manager will have to go through, the document to actually agree with you if the deliverables that you've actually mentioned or stated in the document, if the manager or the project manager is happy with it as well. And if the project manager has something against, so you guys have to dialogue on it, saying, okay, these are the two deliverables that we need to document. So, but if there's any additional document that you need to produce, your project manager will actually let you know at that point, saying, oh, we need to produce this document as well for your work stream. You need to do this as well. Then you need to incorporate that. So, but the bottom line is that once you document all the, you list out all the deliverables or the document, your artifacts that you need to produce on the project, you list it, and you also put the estimated time. Your BA manager will sign it, and if PM or the project manager is happy with it as well, your project manager will also say, okay, approved. So once so that means that is an agreement between the project and the BA. So during the course of the project, if anything comes up and the project manager say, oh, I need you to document procedure guide, I need you to document, maybe some of those things, like some documents that is not really is out of scope, is not in the BAA, then you may now need to negotiate on it, saying, oh, I'm sorry, but the BAA document actually states, oh, we need to, these are the documents, these are the 5 documents or 2 documents that I need to produce for this project. So the PM at that point, the PM may negotiate and say, okay, we actually need this, and try to justify it. So you need to revert back to your manager saying, oh, the project manager has asked me to document another document, or maybe the project. And if it's something that is not a BA task, your BA manager will definitely decline that. Sorry, that's not a BA task. We are sorry, we can't do that. But if the BA manager thinks you have the capacity, and there's no resources on the project to actually do that work, so he or she may come in agreement or negotiation with the PM saying, okay, we are happy to take on the work, but it's not a BA task, but we're happy to do it. And because this has not been reflected in the BA, so but at least we'll try to do it. But in some instances, you may not take up that work because it's not what you guys agreed, from the onset. So it just makes you to, it just give you, like a baseline that these are the documents that you'll be focused, even if the project is 6 months. If you finish that or maybe all your documentation within 4 months, fine. So they will not tell you have to come and do this document or maybe produce another document for another project. No, because although if the project is happy to release you, fine. But on that project, you just need to focus mainly on what has been agreed on the BAA, because the quality of the work that you're going to do, it really matters to you and the BA as well, the BA manager as well. So it's just it's just a document that that actually need to list out the deliverables, or that you need to document on the project, and it's usually between the BA and the PM. So just only so is after this, once this has been documented, then and it's been approved, then you can now start your workshop, doing your requirement gathering, documenting, doing your process map. So this BAA is usually one of the first set of deliverables that you need to produce. So I know we discussed on the business impact and analysis was last week as well. So so they go in hand. So both this document and the BIA, so it comes together as well. So but this one, the BIA, is usually the first document, because it's part of this in the BIA. That's where you're going to list it saying, oh, I'm going to document the BIA, I'm going to document the BRD, I'm going to do process map for this, I'm going to do, maybe traceability metrics. You just list out all those documents. So I will just quickly show you a template that I've just I think I drafted. Yeah. So this is like a BA template, although definitely the organization you'll be working, they will have their own template, but it's just to give you like the content. Most time the contents of the template should be similar to this. So definitely you have the version, like maybe first draft before your BA manager review, version control. So that's why you have the version there, and you have your date and the name, your name, then the project manager, then the exec, and the status if it's draft or if it's been approved. So you have that, and the content. So we have the revision history, similar to what we discussed last week as well, and so the approvers will be your manager, the BA manager, and definitely your PM. So those are the two people that, at least the ones that have documented in the past, those are the two people that usually approve the document. And so you have the purpose of this document. So definitely, for example, if GDPR, okay, the project you have been assigned on the GDPR project, you just give brief information and what the purpose of this document is all about. And so this BAA, that's where you come. So you have the project background, like I said, the GDPR, the scope of the project, then probably if you have to do with your work stream, so you can just, mention that as well. And so the in scope, maybe all the things that you need to do, you can say probably maybe, looking into legacy system, maybe, anything that has to do with the scope of the project, then the heart of scope. Then if it has to do with, if you have to do with anything that on the discovery as well. So for example, maybe during for the, you may have to do like data discovery, like maybe the questionnaire that you need to know who are the people that have access to the data, you know, things like that. So it's just, this is just the format, and your engagements, stakeholder engagements, and also your business stakeholders, then the delivery plan. So the delivery plan is where you're going to list, you know, all your documentation, your artifacts that you're going to produce, and the time frame as well. So the time frame will just be estimates. Anyway, it's just going to be, it's not really actual date, but it's going to be an estimate of the time. So it could be weeks, but definitely they will want, like, for example, maybe like March 22nd to maybe May 22nd. So it could be 4 weeks, but you can't just say March to April. You understand? They will want something like a rough date. So, and you can't just say 2 weeks. So because 2 weeks could be heritage, it could be 2 weeks in April, it could be 2 weeks in May. So you have to be a bit specific, but rough estimates of, you know, the time or the date range. Let me just put it that way. So, and that's just for your BAA. But at least it's good if you actually, you know, if you know that. So it is good, so that at least if you come across it, it won't be strange or new to you. So you know what it's all about. And that's on the BAA. Yeah. Okay. And so, you know, so for this, like if you're working in a project, you know, like we discussed, I think some of those previous sections, we discussed, you have, you know, methodology, different methodology. You have the waterfall, you have the agile methodologies that, you know, depending on the, you know, the methodology that you are using for the project that you've been assigned to. So, but mainly your project team, you have your PM, definitely you have your PMO, and the, so your accountable executive. So there are people that are responsible, you know, for the success of the project. So if there's anything, so like they are the stakeholders and the sponsor. If they say project sponsor, this is like, you know, like let me say IS hierarchy on the project, because this is the person that will be responsible for the funding of the project, and, you know, approving the investment case as well, saying, okay, this project is you know, this project needs to be done, you know, justification. And that's why on the, you know, power grid, your project sponsor, you need to, is ISI level. The person will have definitely high interest, because the person will determine the success of the project. And even if you need funding, this is the person that will be responsible for that as well. So yeah, so those two people, the AE, so we usually call them the AE and the sponsor. They are two key people on the, you know, on the project. So you need to make sure you keep them on side every time. You keep them satisfied every time. So they are more or less like the owner of the project. So for example, if you're working in finance, if the project is mainly finance dominated project, but you may still have a bit of HR and a bit of probably maybe, let's say, facility, but it's mainly or maybe majorly on finance finance project or finance department project. But because HR has some hardship, or maybe they have some elements that they have to, you know, on that project as well. So your AE, mostly your hair will come from the finance, because because they own the project, is their project. So let me just put it that way. So your sponsor will also come from that finance, because there is majorly their department project. So yeah, so let me just put it that way. So on the project team, so definitely on you have your project team, you have your project manager, the BA key. And also because, and sometimes some jobs they will say BA, and they want a draw role in like a BA will also be the PM. So but the PM needs to be able to have the skills of a BA. So it's not possible for PM to just be, you know, to just do a BA, but a BA can do, if you have that, you know, you can do the draw role, but definitely they will expect you to have you can manage the project. So you have a BA, you have your PMO or PSO on the project as well, project management officer or project management analyst, or maybe project support officer. So that will be also be supporting you on the project as well. And so depending on the project, you have business change as well. Most organization, if it's like a big or standard, let me say, yeah. So you have business change person as well, and this person will be, responsible for, the communication as well within the stakeholder, and how to make sure the project, the change, assess the impact of that project on the division, and to make sure everybody is aware of this project, depending. So this person will manage the communication, both internal and external. So, and also depending on the project, you may have solution architect as well. And so because most times, so you not have the tester or the QA, they don't come in, as a project team here. So they don't usually be. So because they will be on the side of the, like let's say the supplier or maybe the IT team, which is not really a core project team. So, but if you are working on a project that has to involve maybe like IT technology related projects, so you may need to liaise with the product owner. And the product owner is also similar to a B, because most BA as well, they work as a product owner, but you need to have an experience of that product before you can become a product owner. So, but you will be liaising with this product owner, because the product owner will be on the side of the technology or the people that are going to deploy or develop this solution. So let's say for the LMS now, learning management system. So you have, a product owner within that field that knows, everything about what the LMS is, all the features, everything. So even as a BA, despite the fact that you know how to gather your requirement, but you don't really know all those features. So the product owner, is there. You can be liaising with the product owner to say, okay, these are our requirements. So the product owner, once you complete your BRD, the product owner can say, oh, we reviewed it. We need a clarification to this requirement. Can you, clarify or find out from your stakeholders what do they mean by, security? So because security could be anything. So they may want to, they may want more information in that. So you'll be liaising, because at this point, you will not be liaising with developer. Like, for example, all the jobs that most like if it's a big project, I would not be liaising with the developer, because you have somebody else that I would liaise with. So the product owner will now be managing their home side, like the developer, the QA. But the only thing the product owner may just tell you is that, this project now, we've received it, we've clarified all the requirements. We're happy with all the requirements. We don't have any other question again. So your project we'll put that in maybe spring 2, or maybe it's going to be December release or January release. They will just let you know when they're going to kick off, or maybe start working on your project. Then, and once you start working on that, then you can now, they can, if they have any question, or maybe when the UAT is coming up, or maybe testing, they will let you know. But most times, it depends on the setting. It depends on the organization setup. But most time you may not really have to, relate with, like the QA. You may not really have to. But definitely, if they have any question, it's either they come through the product owner, or they may even contact you directly. So depending on the setup. So, but definitely in any project, you just need to make sure you have good relationship with these people, with your project team, which is very essential. And for the project manager and the BA, is a very key one. You have to make sure you and your project manager has a good relationship, because your project manager will need you to feed it into the project plan. As a BA, you have some deliverables, which is more or less like a small small chunk of work, or maybe chunk of work, within like a big part of that project manager, because the project manager is managing business change. The project manager is managing the solution architect. The project manager is managing the BA deliverables, also managing the policy, some aspects, different aspects of the project. So, and he or she will need a contribution, your contribution to the success of the project. And for the BA deliverable, your project manager will need information from you. How long it's going to take you to, for your artifacts to produce your artifacts, the progress, and also even if you have any blocker, it's your project manager that you will liaise with, because your BA manager will not be interfering in this project. It's only when you have something that you cannot resolve within your project team that may need to be escalated, to your BA manager. But at this point, on a good setup, if you have a good setup and the project team is really working properly, you have to resolve everything within your project team. You may not even have anything to do with your BA manager, except when you are having maybe catch up on one-to-one, or which is outside the project. Then the project manager, the BA manager may have to maybe an update on your project or work that you are working on. So your PM will need your input, to the project plan, because for the project plan to be produced, he or she will need to know how long it's going to take you. What are your deliverables on this project? Despite the fact that you agree that, because your PM will not be looking into, the BA that you documented earlier. So, and because on the course of this project, you may even identify, you yourself, you may identify that, we need to do this, we need to document a procedure, or you need to document process maps for these relevant sections. So you will need to put this on the project plan, so that at least they will have, they'll be able to track all the milestones that is necessary, for this project. So you need to be able to have a good relationship with your, with your project manager. So it's really key. So, and because sometimes if your project manager does not really like it, the project manager may say, oh, sorry, this person is not really performing very well, so can you move the person off the project? And if the project manager asks, requests that the BA should be moved, definitely they need to move the BA. So, because the project manager is more or less like the owner of the project, is the one managing the project, and whatever, although definitely if the person says you're not really performing very well, and that is it, because he's the person that oversees the project. So, and that's what they're going to do. So they may have to replace that person. So that's why you need to make sure you have a good rapport with your, with your project manager. And also, so I think so for the how does the BA work in Nigeria environment? So sometimes, so like like that's the product owner. Most times, usually in the agile environment as well. So like for example, one of the projects that I worked on. So previously, once I document all the business requirement documents and the system requirements, and I have to send that it's been approved by the stakeholders, everything is set, and I will have to send that to the, to the product team, which is the IT team. So they will have to review that, like what I mentioned earlier. So if they have any question, then you conduct the acceptance testing. They will let me know when the release is going to be. Then while they are doing that, I will start documenting the other feature. For example, if they're saying these particular features, maybe about 3 features has been listed, saying they can only build probably maybe just 3 features for the next release. So I will document all the requirements relating to those 3 features, get it signed off by the stakeholders, then send it to the team. Now they've assigned me saying, they are going to make sure that is being built and it's being released for December release. While I've submitted that, I'll start working on the other features as well. So probably maybe I've got 10, and maybe the next one they can only commit to 4 features. So while I've submitted that, I will start documenting my requirements, for the remaining, maybe the next 4 features again. So while do the same process, review it, write the user stories up, review it, and get the sign off from the stakeholders and send it to them. So they may say, okay, this particular 4 features is going to be March release, next year March release. Then like that. You just be working. It's more or less like working in phases. And also there are some, so it depends on the project that you're actually working on. So it's just for you to be able to understand how they work. And also on the daily stand-up, is not most time, like for example when I was working on the few years back when I was working on the GDPR project, because it's a big project. And so we had several, let's say, work streams. So the BAs, I think we had about 3 BAs or 4 BAs on the project. And the PMs as well, we had several PMs as well working on several work streams. So this support, so is more or less like having a session whereby all of you come together, then you give an update on what what has been done. So if there's any blocker, so this is where you have to say for this like yesterday or maybe Monday, I've completed this work stream, this particular work that I'm working on, and this is what I'm doing, I'm working on today. If there's any blocker, maybe any issue that is hindering you for not progressing, then you need to mention it. It's just like high-level points. It's not like you don't have to go into detail, because it's usually 15 minutes, but sometimes they don't. not all the things actually keep to projecting that actually keep to 15 minutes, but usually it should be 15 minutes. If you see anywhere they're saying daily stand-up and the meeting is running to 45 minutes, it's no more daily stand-up. Or 1 hour, it's no longer daily stand-up. So that's on to project team meeting, so you just need to be aware of it, because they may ask you a question that, okay, or maybe when you go for interview and, you may be saying some things as well, maybe on Agile. So you need to mention this as well, that, okay, you participated in the daily stand-up, or maybe when you were doing daily stand-up. But daily stand-up is usually 15 minutes. And sometimes, and I remember then, as the BA team as well, we usually have our daily stand-up as well, just mainly solely for the BA team. So, because we had 4 BAs on that project, and so within 15 minutes, I will give updates on what I completed previous day and what I'm doing at the moment, and if I have any blocker or any issue that is preventing me or that may prevent me from going forward, so I will just do it. So probably maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and I'm done. The next person will do, say the same thing, and even sometimes you could even round it up less than 15 minutes, but it's usually high level point. Even if it's something that has to do with, that you need to give more detail, then you can say, oh, we can take that offline, or I will discuss with you maybe after this meeting. So you can discuss it out of the, after the daily stand-up. But when you are saying, if you say you are having daily stand-up, it's just key points. I delivered this yesterday, or I'm still working on this. I've not completed it. And if I'm finished that, I'm working on this next, and blah, blah, blah. So, just high level. So what you've completed, what you are going to do, and if there's any blocker. So that is on the daily stand-up. So sorry. And so on the requirements and user stories, there are some organizations, because it's not actually core BA task. Let me just say it that way, because I was planning to log into Azure DevOps, so environment or Jira, to be able to demonstrate that to you, but definitely I could not get that login correctly. So like for example, most of you must have used maybe Trello before. Trello was, I think that was maybe a few years ago. They use that to collaborate with the project team as well, whereby you have different cars, different people. You can say you have, all your backlog. When you say the backlogs, those are the the tasks, the jobs that you need to do, like all the requirements. Let's say the registration, for example, let's put it that way, registration, application, some of those high level features, let me just put it that way. Then you can say this is your product backlog. This is what you are doing for this sprint, and this is what is currently going on, is developing, or maybe is in progress, or it is completed. So you have different columns to show what is being done, has been completed, what is in progress, or what to do as well. And if there's any comments, you see people that has been assigned to it, but I'm unable to log into that my account, so sorry about that. So, but at the moment, but people don't usually use Trello, but I just put that just for you if you have worked for it before, so similar thing. So, but all the user stories and your requirements that you've written. So what the product owner and the QA or maybe the Scrum Master, what they do is that they will put all those requirements and user stories that you've written. They will now, put it that, because they will not be looking into, the BRD, they will not be reading that every time. So they'll put all the requirements in this tool, in one of these tools. So some organizations, they use Jira, some people use Confluence, and some people use Azure DevOps as well, which is previously VSTS. So depending on what the organization is using at the moment, but definitely there may be the development team, they will be using, and the QA team, they will be using one of these things, in one of these tools, to manage the requirements. So in this for example, let's say Azure DevOps. So once they get the requirements from you, but it's just for your own awareness, but it's not really a core BA task. Let me just stress that it's not really a core BA task, but it's just for you, because most times these days when you search for job, they'll say, experience in or familiarity with Jira or Confluence or Azure DevOps, So because they just want somebody that that knows how to use it, just in case if you have to look into some requirements, or if the developer puts in some maybe note in there, or the QA need your attention. So at least that day you'll be able to know how to manipulate your way around that. I think that's one of the main reasons why they actually need you to understand it. And sometimes it could be they just want you to put the requirements, and once the requirement is being signed off, they want you to put those user stories in one of these tools, maybe in the Azure DevOps. So you just need to make sure you can watch the YouTube. There are so many video clips, YouTube, online, that you can watch on how you can put this. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. To be honest, it's very simple. So your user stories, what they just do, they copy into the requirements, into the description. So they just paste it out. That's it. And so what they do, so the developer will pick, so the Scrum team, or maybe the developer, and they will now, deliberate, or maybe have their home meeting. When are we designing this? Which sprint are we going to develop maybe the registration feature, or maybe all those things, all those requirements? Then they will have to, collaborate with among themselves to say, this is when we are going to design this, or develop this, or work on this. They will commit themselves to that, and they will manage it. And the QA as well, they use this as well. So, and they use that to raise bug. If there's any bug, the developer will be able to see. So they use it to do so many things, to track, to write test cases as well, their test plans. So they'll be able to. So as a BA, it's good to have that knowledge as well, just in case if you find yourself, to use it. But for example, at least most of the projects I've done, to be honest, I don't usually, but I know how to use it, but I don't usually go in there. But at least if it's been needed, definitely will be able to just do it. So you can watch it on YouTube just to get to familiarize yourself. And most job you will see, and we'll search some job in later, so you see that some of these they will at least need they will need you to know maybe one of these things, anyway, depending on what they are using. Okay, so now you know all your how to gather your requirements. So And for your job search, so you can use JobServe and LinkedIn as well, because there are so many jobs even on these platforms. Especially, here you have so many. If you're looking for most, what I've realized these days is that, on LinkedIn you have so many permanent jobs. So some like most companies, they don't even go through JobServe, because definitely you have to pay for it, because if you are posting a job for 7 days, there's a particular fee that they have to pay. And if you are, if you are actually doing maybe if it's 1 month, definitely there's, so at least fees attached to it. But on LinkedIn, I'm not really sure, but a lot of jobs, you have a lot of jobs on LinkedIn that you can actually, permanent role, especially permanent role, that you can actually, look there to apply for jobs. So you can use some of these. These are just few that I've just mentioned. You may know more than that, so you can just use that. And also for your CV template, because depending on if you have been doing BA before, but if not, definitely there are so many CV templates. You can just search business analysis CV templates on Google. You have loads. So now depending on the industry and how you want to, and all your experiences, you now need to, but at least you have templates that you can use. And also, and one key thing that I need to mention as well is that when you're applying for a job, I think I mentioned it during the first session, the recruiter, they will not just bring all the CV up at the same time. So because for the BAs, there are some keywords that they actually use to search to search the CV. For example, if they post a job, and maybe the or Jira is essential, that the person needs to be familiar with Jira. Let's put it that way. You need to have a good stakeholder management. You need to be to have worked on, let's say, GDPR, for example, if it's a GDPR project, or you need to have, or the person needs to have worked in financial industry, or maybe a payment system. So when they're searching for a job, when they're searching on their, so they would have posted all the job adverts on either of these websites or job boards. So what they would do is that they will now do GDPR, they will put financial industry, comma as well. They will put Jira, all those keywords that is not really, that is not the same, is not really universally used. Let me just put it that way. They'll put those keywords in their keyword search. And so once they search, is any CV that has all those, that has some of those keywords, or maybe depending on how they set it, if it's 50%, that it should pop up, fine. If it's 100%, depending on how they set their own setting. But if your CV does not have Jira, for example, if they're looking for somebody that has used Jira, and they put Jira in their search box, and your CV does not have Jira, so that means your CV will not come up. So if they have put maybe something about payment system, and your CV does not have payment system, that means they will not even see your CV, because they receive loads of CVs, so, and it's not possible for them to to start going to one by one. So so that actually helps them to filter down, to reduce, to shortlist, few, like, from those database. So it's just that it helps them to filter, the appropriate CV, or maybe the matching CV. So keywords is really, as a BA, I would expect to see stakeholder, in your CV. Requirements is key, because what are you doing if you don't even have requirements in your CV? So there are some keywords that are peculiar to BA, so they will expect to see that as well. So imagine if your CV does not have stakeholders, if you are just having customer or clients, and if, for example, if you have used clients or users or customer as opposed to stakeholder, so that means even if they're searching for a BA, no way. So that is, it won't come up at all, because as a BA, You should be able to speak that language. You should be able to use those terminologies. So keywords are really key. So you need to be, conversant with that as well. And when you apply for job, like for example, if you apply for any job, you need to, like, if it's a contract job, I would say if it's a contract job, like I do that most times for a contract job. So you need to, make sure you contact the advertiser, the job advertiser, because most times, for example, I think I mentioned this last week. If you apply, they just advertise a job, and because there are so many people out there looking for a job as well, and you match the the criteria that they are actually looking for. So if you just use the JobServe or LinkedIn and you just let me just use JobServe and you just click apply, you submit your CV and you just leave it like that, somebody else that know the trick will call. Once I send an application, maybe 5 minutes later you pick up a phone call, because usually most times not all the advert that usually have the contact details, but most times you can see the contact details on the adverts there. You just make sure you call the person and say, oh, I've just applied for this job. I have experience in this. I match the criteria that you just and most times the recruiter will just say, oh, can I have your name? They would want to call up your CV, because there are so many CV in the database. They will just say, oh, can I have your name, or maybe your email address. They will just use that to search the database to bring up your CV. Right there, they will discuss that CV with you, and if you actually truly match, maybe 100% or 95%, they will tell you right. They say, oh, I will shortlist you for this job, but I still need to work on other CV. Maybe the person needs about 5. So that means you've actually been shortlisted. But if you leave it, if you don't contact the advertiser, and people that knows that trick, they call the recruiter. Maybe about 10 people have called the recruiter. Even the 10th person, they may say, oh, sorry, we've shortlisted for that role, but if they drop any of the candidates, we'll let you know. Even that's those people that even call. So you can't be looking for this is peculiar to, let me say, contract job. You can't be looking for contract job and just, you just apply and you just leave it like that. Although some people may say, okay, we'll let you know. We'll just, don't worry, we'll receive the CV, but we'll go through it. Some people, but most times they will say, oh, they want to check, because you are actually saving them time and stress to start searching that database. So imagine maybe 10 people called and they've seen maybe about 6 people, then they know this is presentable to their client, and that's it. So the rest in the database, to be honest, they will not touch it. So that means that is just dead there. So that is why it is advisable, if you are actually looking for a contract job, once you apply, give them a call straight away. For example, if they post a job at 9 a.m., for example, maybe the recruiter have posted a job at 9 a.m. and you apply for the job tomorrow. If it's a contract job, I doubt if you will actually, you will still have the chance. I doubt, because a lot of people are out there, looking for a job, and they would have called this person, and because the recruiter is competitive as well, maybe they've given that particular job to maybe to 2 agencies. So the recruiter is actually also trying to make sure they get the CVs to their clients on time, so that their own candidates can be shortlisted and can be invited for an interview. So they will not want to leave it till late, because sometimes within 3 hours they will tell you, oh, sorry, the job we've shortlisted for the role, but we'll let you know if anything comes up or one of them drop off. So when you are looking for a job, you have to take it as full-time job as well, because you have to take it as a full-time job. In the morning, maybe every 30 minutes, if you have the chance. If it's every 30 minutes, apply for it. If it's every 1 hour, but don't. So to get the best result, that's my advice. To get the best result, you just have to. But even if you're applying, but the thing is that you need to make sure your CV is actually well package and really good, because that is what is going to attract the clients. Even if they shortlist you, the client is going to see that. But even if you call the agency, if your CV is not really matching, definitely they are not going to do anything. So your CV is the selling point first. Then when you now start applying for the job, you need to make sure you contact the job advertiser, because like some people, I tell them, if you just apply and you just click the apply button and you just leave it like that, I'm sorry. Although for permanent role, to be honest, that may work. That may not really be a problem. Anytime maybe their closing dates, they will search and do their shortlisting. But for contract roles, you need to make sure you contact that job advertiser if you have that opportunity. And yes, so I will quickly search let's quickly look at what's it called, let me quickly look JobServe. Okay, let me quickly go to the question now before we look at some. Okay, I think I've written that. Yes, I think somebody has a question. So the difference between Jira, are they similar in use? Yes, they are similar. They are similar, because if you have used Trello before, you will see that there are some of those columns that are similar to to some of these Jira and Azure DevOps. Although, like Azure DevOps is more techy, but people are not really using Trello, to be honest. So definitely they are similar. And once you can use Jira, you'll be able to use Azure DevOps as well. Trust me. And it's something you can even learn in, if you can play around it, to be honest, in 30 minutes. So for me, in 30 minutes, you will learn it. These days, a lot of job hacks for test analyst, business analyst. Yes, because it's just like they want buy one get one free, So, but it's good if you have the experience, fine. If you have the skills, fine. But we'll try and search some jobs, on JobServe just to check. But most times they will say BA, but they may now say you need to be able to have experience of UAT or test cases, but it's not that they will be asking you to do it as your core BA job, except maybe some organization that they don't really have, tester. They may want you to act as a test analyst as well. But if you know how to write it, it's not bad. So, but it's not like a core BA work. And the daily meeting is called daily stand-up. So yeah, daily stand-up meeting. Yeah, so let's quickly check some jobs. And I'll do JobServe. I'm just trying to do JobServe now. Find job. Okay, so let me see. Sure. Sorry, I'm not sure if you can. You can. I'm on JobServe. Can you see my screen, because I'm not really sure if I've shared that particular window. Okay, you can see it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me just find out. Okay. Then share. I'm trying to look for that window. Okay, select item to share here. I've seen it now. Okay. Apply changes. Okay. So you should be seeing that right now. Yeah. Yes. Can you see it now? Because I think I've just said, yeah, okay, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, so now I want to, because I live in London, or no, at least outskirts of London, a bit in between London and Kent. Yeah, let's see. Okay, let's see. So because I want to use London as my location, and I'm going to put, definitely within the 50 miles, I can select 25. Yeah, because I will not want to travel far because I live outside London. So let's say I want to search for, because if I'm looking for a contract role, to be honest, I usually use 2 days, because most time I usually think probably maybe it's not really likely that 3 days job will still be available. But if it's on the weekend, if it's on a Monday, and I know that definitely they may post any job for maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I will use 3 days. But if it's like, for example, today, I will use 2 days. But depending on how you want to do it, let's just say 2 days. Let me just say 2 days. And because I'm looking for, contract role, yeah. So any advertiser and the location, and my key was a business analyst, because I'm looking for a business analyst role, and I'm looking for the industry. I don't really mind any industry. I've selected all the industries, and the hourly rates I've selected all as well. So, and so the category, everything. So I don't really mind working anywhere. So, and I will just click, and so let's see what comes up here. Yes, okay. So yeah, and so what? Because I want to search by best match. When you look at the best match, is the BA that will come up first. But if you are looking at latest, you have so many jobs, that are not even relevant to BA. So like now, senior application security engineer is not really BA. So I'm not really going to look, into that, but we'll just filter it by best match, which would be, BA job. So now you have business analyst, and let me try and see if I can move this. All right. So business analyst and come on. Slash project support transformation. So here you could see there is a finance area. So P2P, so you can see finance. So they are saying they are looking for business analysts who has worked on previously on finance and accounting transformation. Stakeholder, we are looking there. Assess, enter documenting assess and to be processes. Yeah. Because they are saying project support as well. So they want the person to be able to do project support. That's why they are putting status reports and read log. So, but I'm not going to look into that. Okay, let's look at this one. So, yeah, I don't know how to maximize this, but let's use it there. So, business analyst, where you can see £500. So depending on the experience anyway, and you may be lucky to have that. And so you have product owner, work closely with key stakeholder, including business partner, business sponsor. You can see product owners, I mentioned product owners as well. And yes, so I'm trying to look for some, and like now there are some that will be specific, that if you have AWS, that's Amazon Web Services, if you have that. So cloud security, DevOps. So like here they are saying they want key skills, your analysis experience, yeah, knowledge of, so knowledge, they are not saying you should be a techie on AWS, but at least knowledge of cloud computing, yeah. If you are work on any large scale technology, ability to work on Scrum or Agile environments, yeah, like we mentioned, your daily stand up and all those, how you relate with the methodology, and Google Sheets and Excel, yeah. Experience of turning user story into screen mockup, yep. Stakeholder management, you can see. So, for example, if you are applying for this kind of job, they will expect to see AWS there. They'll be expecting you to have if you have Google Sheets on it as well, that would be nice. Agile, they will be expecting to see Agile or Scrum on your CV. Experience. So I'm trying to look for some that a bit generic. So know your customer as well, business analyst. So yeah, Agile, the same thing, Agile again. I'm trying to look for some that, because there are some you can see, even this one comes as a contract, but it's because it comes as a contract. That's why they put contract. That's why, but it's permanent, I think, or probably maybe they want to consider the people. So let's even go through this one. So your role as a BA, yes. Functional requirements. So they will expect to functional analyze information needs. You're to be, yes, what you need to succeed. Experience in IT environment and communication skills. Yes. So, this is even generic. So I'm trying to look for some that are not really. So here, let's say Jira. So you can see here, this one is saying Jira Specialist Cambridge. And even if you don't really mind working in any location, to be honest, there are so many jobs outside London that most times is not really competitive as London. So if you are somebody that you don't really mind, to go outside London, you definitely, I think, people like that have, I think, a better advantage as well, because London is very competitive, but you can still get your job in London. That's one thing. So Jira, so if, for example, if you are applying for such job like this, I would expect to see Jira in your CV. To be honest, I would expect to see Jira because you've actually mentioned that Jira. And I'm trying to search for some jobs that are not really, did they put anything on this one? You know, this one did not even put any, they just say process mapping or business. And so, yeah, they said business analysis qualification. So, it's good. Imagine if you don't have, the certification, that means you would have like, oh, I don't want to apply for this one because you don't have. So, so there are so many, so many jobs out there. To be honest, there are so many jobs out there. Now depends on your experience, on how there are jobs 300, there are jobs 600. Yeah. So that's how you apply for the job anyway. So once you apply for the for the job, okay, let me see if this one has contacts. Okay, yeah. So here is the person is Max, right? But once you drop this, you can see. So you just use this telephone number, and that's it. You just call the person straight away and say, "I've just applied for the job." Definitely, when did you apply? Okay, ask for your CV, and that's it. So, but sometimes you may not have that. Let me see if this one has one. Okay, this one has as well. There are some you don't. So agile business analyst. So these ones are just looking for. So if you say you have worked on any in agile environments, so good. So it's still on act as product owner for the Scrum development. Test with development team to test. Yeah. So skilled required. User stories into mockup. I think similar to what we saw earlier. And okay, you can see most of it even has the contact details. So it's good if you apply for the job and you can just use that as well. And so it depending on, sometimes they just they will specify, even sometimes if you think you are maybe 50% or maybe 60% match what they have, what they've requested, you can still try it, So like this one does not have the contact number. So most times I don't even bother, I'll just apply it like that. But some people have, the contact number of these people, but I don't. So, so it depending. So that's how you apply for, for the jobs. And yes, so So it's very easy, and yeah, and I think that's all from me. And it's been a pleasure training you guys and sharing my knowledge with you guys. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this session as well.